Here would be Matt
Recording in progress.
Okay, perfect.
for the contract, yeah.
All right, sir.
So they just come and drop it off here.
Let's see now. Oh, you want a copy of it?
What?
Love the check. Yeah.
Camera. Remember, the recording is on.
Yeah, yeah. That's all right. It only goes to my computer, so I use it for me.
Hi, John.
We don't post the recordings for this. It's just for me in case of this.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see.
I double duties.
Lisa, you're welcome to come to the table too. Huh? Might be easier taking notes. Huh?
You think it would be?
I don't know,
anyway.
just a thought.
I guess so. You start in my lap.
I asked Lorraine to make it.
Or siding off that building again, huh?
Good morning, can you hear us?
Just putting all new on.
Let's just make sure.
Yeah, Mike, this is Andy. I can hear you.
All right, thanks.
Yes, John, can I call you back in a little bit? I'm in the meeting. Okay, yeah.
Hi, Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, I didn't mean not to. At least you trying to shut that thing off.
I used to say that the MEP program would never be unfunded because there's one in every congressional district.
Yeah, yeah. Huh? Oh, I know. You take a nap.
Brian said he would be here.
It is this windy day.
Oh.
It is. I was in the elevator and seen it. Upstairs. I didn't press the button hard enough.
Oh, it takes even longer.
This is one of those days.
Who do we have on there, Mike?
Oh, we have Andy Howard. Who else is with us?
It's me.
Lisa? And me. And I think, Lisa, you're here both by phone and by. Okay. We've got 89432. Yeah, 943. Brian? Earth to Brian.
Brian's here. Yep, I'm here.
Great.
How you doing, Brian?
Hey, Sarah.
Good afternoon.
Oh, Tom Phillips is the guy that's still there.
Tom Phillips?
Yeah, I'll send you the. They have 9 people there.
Yeah, I wanted to give my son somebody's name. I could get it.
I thought he had retired, but.
It's now 1 o'clock. We have a quorum, so we'll open the meeting. And I will ask if anybody has not read the minutes, or hopefully that everybody has read the minutes, and if there are no changes to the minutes, I will entertain a motion to accept them.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Martha, we're on to the portfolio review already.
Oh, good. Okay, starting at the top, 7-Eleven County Group 3, that is the Pond Restaurant, and we received their 2 loan payments today, so they are current through the end of September. Next on the list is Train Time. I'll come back to them. Hudson Clothier is also a payment behind, but she called on Thursday and promised us she would put that payment in the mail. The next page, you see the other loan for 7-Eleven County Group 3. We received that.
And they're all bitching about what they're gonna do. So I had to talk and find the lady next door works at Adams. And I said, Deb, doesn't Adams do like a pre-made Thanksgiving?
Hello, if you could go on mute, please.
Are you on your Zoom meeting?
There we go. Finally, we have Romber Works, and we received their payment today as well. And going back to Train Time, I know we've been discussing them at every meeting. We had hoped that sale would take place last week. We heard from the owner, Lisa Warner, this morning, and she is expecting the buyer to come up next week and make a payment. So we're keeping our fingers crossed.
The buyer will make a payment to us.
She's going to, actually, the money will be put in Andy Howard's escrow account,
Okay.
and then we will receive the form.
And then we release, do we have a security interest?
Yes,
So we have to release that for.
correct. So fingers crossed.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about the portfolio review?
Question about the Pond Restaurant, are they open?
I follow them on Facebook, so I see their daily specials being posted.
Have you been there?
Yeah,
I haven't been there in a while.
you go up there quite often. You're open fully. You're busy, you don't get out on the weekend.
Good.
That's really good news, 'cause I
You
know
can't.
the changeover was so difficult.
It was difficult, and they
Are
had,
you all still there?
over the summer, they were doing lunches for one of the camps, and the camp had to shut down due to COVID, so they lost that business. And
Yes, Mike.
Thanks.
parties yet. I'm not sure they're doing a lot.
Here we go.
Oh, good.
It's
Any other
taking-
questions?
Mike, it's working off the camera on your computer.
Yeah, gonna figure out how to.
Well, there is a setting under.
There, how about that?
Okay, so do we have any other questions about the portfolio review? If not, I will accept a motion to, or I will entertain a motion to accept them as they have been presented.
So moved.
And I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And we will move on to our loan request, please.
Okay, Return Brewing LLC. This is a brewery that will be opening across the street from this building. And the city of Hudson is applying for a CDBG grant for this business, and that grant application, the full application, will be due the first week in November, which is why we're presenting this to you now. We wouldn't expect this loan to close if it's approved until the first quarter of 2022. The client is looking for a $50,000 loan. The interest rate will be 5%. It's a 6-year term on the SBA portion and a 6-year term on the CEDC portion, but we have spoken to them about a 6-month deferment period, which will allow them to ramp up their sales before they start making payments on the CEDC loan. So essentially that will end up being a 6.5-year loan. The 4 managing members, there are actually 5 managing members, but 4 principals. 3 of them worked at 6 Point Brewery in Brooklyn, a very successful brewery that was sold in 2018. These gentlemen have gotten together and put together a plan for a new brewery. They already have their TTB and their wholesale beer license, and they expect to have their retail license in January. They have pretty aggressive projections, as I'm sure you've seen. I think it's important to note that the first year doesn't actually start until February of 2022. So the $2 million in sales that they're projecting for year one is actually the end of February of 2023. As I noted, they are aggressive in terms of projections. These 4 individuals are very optimistic. They have experience, obviously, in the world of startup and operations in the brewery field. I noted that they all came, or 3 of the 4 came from 6 Point Brewing. The other partner is has a finance background. He's going to keep his job, but he's advising them on their business plan and their financials. The uncle of one of the principals is Rick Orlando, very well known in the restaurant world in upstate New York and well known nationally. He is featured on PBS and the Food Network. In fact, I was up at the Troy Farmers Market on Saturday and he had a booth there. They have a 40-page operating agreement, and so they've worked through that issue fairly thoroughly. Again, there are 5 managing members in this business, and they collectively own 67% of the business. There are 33 Class B members who have invested a total of $816,000, and they collectively own 33% of the business. As I say, they are looking for $50,000. They already have the investment from the Class B investors. They will be looking for an additional $200,000 from another lender. And our loan, if approved, would be contingent on receiving that microbrewer license, which, as I mentioned, they're hoping to have in January. I'll entertain questions.
Most of our loans are split evenly between the SBA and our money. Why is this one different?
Basically, we wanted to give them some of the SBA money, which helps our portfolio and gives them the benefit of technical assistance. I'm not sure they're going to require a lot of that. But the bulk of the money is in that CEDC loan, so they can take advantage of that 6-month deferment period. And essentially, they'd only be paying us $241 a month for the first 6 months. And then that other loan of $563 wouldn't be the 7th month.
Is it unusual to have so many investors? I think that would be
Yes and no. We don't deal with a lot of business startups that have equity investors. Talbot and Arding is one that did, and I think they're up to approximately 20. They have different levels of investors because they've had set 2 rounds now. So we have seen this before. 33, I don't know how they came up with that particular number. None of them owns more than 4% of the business.
You know, their arrangement with the investors, an investor has to be bought out or is that?
Well, as I mentioned, they've got a 40-page operating agreement. So yes, there are all kinds of ways to be bought out. It talks about what happens in the event of the death of a member.
Okay.
Yeah. Rather thorough, as I might say. And the managing partners, the managing members are able to take a management fee, but they don't have that in the first 5 years of their projections. And they have no payments to the Class B investors in the first 5 years as well.
And what's the purpose of the first year? There's no business plan for year 1.
Well, if you look at, and I asked them for that specifically, and they did provide it. And so at the end of the business plan, they did do a month-by-month cash flow projection for year 1. And in fact, they're already selling in the wholesale market, and the difficulty they're having now is just keeping up with demand. So they actually think that their projections for the wholesale business, which is selling kegs into restaurants and bars, is probably under what they think they're going to do. I think they're going to hit that month 1 number. They may by December, in fact. So they're already actively selling. I think the question mark is how busy the restaurant will be once they open that, which isn't going to be until the end of 2022. Again, Rick Orlando was the one advising them on their projections, and they feel pretty comfortable with it. Mike and I did a quick analysis. Even if they are over by 20% on their projections, they're going to break even in year 1. And if they are over on the restaurant and they think they can do better on the wholesale part of the business, they still should be able to break even and make their loan payments.
We took a 20% cut in their first year revenue, and then Martha and I looked at what were fixed costs that wouldn't result in being reduced based on volume, but we did look at the cost of goods sold and the labor and cut that back, and they still were able to do it. I think it's a very interesting group. I think that they've all quit whatever jobs they had before this at this point, as Martha pointed out, to work on this full time. I've known Rick Orlando since he was up in outside of Woodstock and then went to Albany. The model that he's providing here is what he did for New World Bistro in Albany, and that's it's a monthly contract to be executive chef and supervise the line chefs. So he's not going to be there full time, but with the fact that his nephew is one of the owners, I would suggest that we have Andy review the 40-page limited partnership agreement or whatever structure it is, limited liability company.
Yep.
Just to be sure that if there's a issue in there that any lender is going to find out or have a problem with, it's better they find it out from us and get it fixed so they can get the rest of their financing. We've also are submitted on their behalf to the City of Hudson an application to the City Council to approve for a $300,000 Office of Community Renewal Economic Development Grant for equipment. It was the motion is passed, and we're working on the application with Nancy Costine at LaBerge Engineering, and we'll get a $15,000 fee for overseeing that contract. There will be some outsourced costs, but we'll make some revenue on it. And I mean, it's fun to see their enthusiasm, and I think several of them, while they don't have a lot of money in this, they do have sufficient assets to be sure that.
They also went before the planning board, the City of Hudson Planning Board on Thursday evening, and they, the only requirements are 8 parking spaces for staff that have to be designated, and the outdoor music has to end at 8 p.m.
That's gonna be the old Smith building.
Yep.
And there's a brewery across the street in another building that Galvin's leasing. Galvin owns this building. And their theory is the more activity, I think that's common understanding amongst restaurant people, that the more restaurants in a district or neighborhood, the better businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other issue that I had, which relates to the grant, not the loan, was we had to make sure that if they're brewing off-site, that the equipment we're getting the state grant through the city from is equipment that they're going to put in this building.
Okay, so this loan is, the purpose of this loan is for equipment and materials, supplies, and working capital. The lien is on all inventory.
I have updated that. If you're looking at this,
Okay,
the full
Okay.
loan request, it should state
that was the original one, yeah.
all assets, but we will be subordinate to a bank, whoever the primary lender is.
Right, okay,
Which is typical for our loans.
okay, blanket lien on all assets of Return Brewing in the second position.
Right.
Okay, and personal guarantees of the 4 members.
4 or
Are there
5.
5 now?
There are 5.
Yeah.
One is a salesman who has 1% interest in the business. The others all have 16% interest, and I'm calling those, they're the 4 managing members, but all 5 of them are Class A members.
Okay. So we're not expecting a guarantee from the 1%.
No.
It's the 4.
Correct.
Okay, and now the purpose is for working capital.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's how it was worded in the CDBG grant application.
Okay. Seth, you have anything?
No, I mean, this seems to me pretty standard fare. It's the kind of thing that we do. So
Yeah.
I sort of had an easier time with this one. It's just
I'm guessing-
people got to drink a lot of beer. That's my only contribution. Because
Or the food has to be really good, spicy, so they drink more beer.
I guess so. I mean, 120 million beer brewery, whatever, in the county now. I hope there's an appetite for it, although there is the wholesale thing. So,
New York State still has incentives for breweries
Yes,
and distilleries,
Right.
and I'm sure that they're taking advantage of that.
they're aware of those. There's,
Of course.
there's no sales tax on some of the equipment that they have to purchase or materials.
They have to buy within the state a
Yeah.
certain percentage.
Well,
of-
they're not a farm brewery. So they corrected me on that. They
Oh,
are a
okay.
microbrewery, but there are some different
Yeah.
parameters.
I see.
They're
I
not
see.
limited.
They don't
to-
get they don't get what you would get if you're on a farm.
I got you. Okay.
Although there's a town up in Saratoga County that's trying to tell the farm brewery that it's not really a farm. It's a recreational activity center because they have rope courses and rides and horses. But
Yeah. Which came first?
yeah. But
Okay, so anybody else have any questions about this before we go to a vote? Then we shall go to a vote. Can I have a motion?
This would be to recommend to the full board.
Correct.
That's correct.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. All in favor to move this to the full board?
Could I add just that we're gonna have Andy review the,
I can
Andy
send that to
is going to be reviewing the 400, or the 40 page, not 400 page, the 40 page agreement. And as long as that goes through, we will be moving this to the full board at the next meeting. I have a motion and a second. Anyone? All in favor, I guess.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That's the pass. Thank you.
thank you.
Last but not least, do we have anybody from the public that would like to make any comments?
but one other thing, sorry,
Good.
sorry, I had a snag at the last committee meeting and I did, note that you all, I guess, deferred the Supreme Soft applicant.
Table.
So I just was inquiring about that because I went through that. I have a lot of reservations, so I don't need to discuss it. I don't need to bring it up, but I just wanted to check to see if that was still pending, and if so, whether there might be opportunity to voice some of those things, because it's
I'm happy to update you.
okay.
And I appreciate all the feedback from the loan committee on that loan. I got back in touch with the client and basically we decided there was nothing that she could do to make this palatable to the loan committee and therefore the full board. She did a few days later follow up, wanted to know if we could use her IRA as collateral. She does have assets in her IRA and that is not something we're willing to do, and I'm not even sure it's allowed by law. So I heard from her this morning. She is moving forward with her plan. She is funding it herself, and she asked for some information on, the health department and getting her certificate of authority. And I provided her with that information. And so right now there is no loan pending.
Okay, and again, I don't mean to sound like, because my bad to not be a part of that last meeting, but it's sort of good to know the feel and tenor of the rest of the group, because I wasn't seeing it on this in any way. It wasn't that, the financials needed to be a little stronger. I wasn't seeing it at all. I wish her luck. I'm glad that Martha, you could offer her, whatever pieces of additional help, but I don't see it.
I'm the father of 3 daughters, all of whom have had weddings, and I wouldn't have paid for that and have a third of the people have a drink,
Yeah.
maybe.
Right. Okay. Well, again, I only raised it because it's the minutes that it might still be pending, but okay, got it. All good.
Excellent.
Would you introduce Lorraine?
Oh, goodness, yes, I would like everyone to meet Lorraine Polson. Lorraine is our part-time loan processing administrator, is that what we're calling it?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's with us on Mondays and Wednesdays, and occasionally on Friday. And she is devoted to updating down-home loan software, which is a time-consuming process. She's also beginning to develop relationships with our loan clients. Often they have questions and they're looking for payoff amounts, or they're explaining why their payment is going to be a week late and that sort of thing. So it's been really a joy having her here, and she's doing a terrific job for us.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Okay, anybody have anything else? If not, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
So move.
And do I have a second?
Bye, Andy. Goodbye, Seth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
All
See you,
in favor,
everybody.
Seth?
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Well done. That was a lot.